I get a lot of heat on there, and I've been part of it. And I've done the reality TV. I've done all that. I'm a grown ass man. I make my own choices, but a lot of young people. That's why, again, I'll tip my hat to you and say at 22 years old to have the platform you have and subject yourself and put yourself out there, because I'm sure you have critics, I'm sure. So.
Welcome to the Goals First podcast, where your goals come first, and we discuss topics that those who achieve the most amazing goals should be familiar with. Today, we have a really, really cool guest. We have Roger Mathews from both Jersey Shore and Tramp and podcast. Now, besides the two obvious things, there's obviously much more to Roger, so I'm going to give him a chance to introduce himself.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on, brother. It is your boy, Roger from Champ and the Tramp. I rarely ever introduce myself as Roger from Jersey Shore these days, so I'll let you do that.
Do you regret Jersey Shore?
Do I what? Regret it?
Regret Jersey Shore?
No, not one iota. Not one iota. Are there certain aspects of it? Of course, man. Of course. There was some pretty negative things that came out of it in my life, but I would not be the father to the two kids that I have today if I did not put that time in. And for me, that's worth it. I'd do it 100 times over.
So my first question for you. So Jersey Shore, as much as it's very entertaining, I watched the first 3-4 seasons. Similar to right now with Charli D'Amelio and Dixie and whatever, people on TikTok, it's not necessarily promoting the certain successful traits of people. It's promoting fun and it's entertaining. So what's your thoughts on people seeing characters on Jersey Shore, original Jersey Shore, and then Charli D'Amelio, Dixie, all these people who are just doing things that are fun but not teaching the youth good traits?
Yeah, tough question. The show is a party show, man. I mean, that's what it is. It really does. Nobody tunes into that show to learn about values or anything that you could take away from it as viable knowledge for the ongoing election or anything like that. It's just a party show, bro. Nobody's tuning into that show. It's like people that tune in to watch watch NASCAR. You're tuning in to watch the crash happen.
Yeah, that's
so. Yeah, how do I feel about it? I'm not hating on any of them. They capitalized on something and they found a market. And they did it when they were young, and they're still doing it, and they're still making a terrific amount of money from it. And my children will probably go to a great college because mom's doing really well for herself. And is it something that I want to be part of still? No, absolutely not. But I'm not hating on anybody else.
Right. And you're just sure that's a show you watch, you entertain, partying.
Right.
I guess my concern more applies to the bigger thing when celebrities on TikTok, the D'Amelio sisters are idolized. This is who I want to be. But what are they doing? They're just dancing, and most of the followers are guys who think they're hot. Let's be real. It's guys think they're hot, or girls who are jealous of them and want that type of thing.
Yeah, but here's where, as a dad, I would say that content's always going to be out there. We live in a technological world now. It's up to us as parents. If we want to limit our kids, or we don't think that our kids, listen, internet's a tough place, bro. A very tough place. My kids are only 4 and 6. I don't really have to watch it. They're watching crap on YouTube with cartoons and shit. They're not really into the social media world. But if you grow up and you have a child, not every kid's cut out for that. Bullying's a real thing. Keeping up with how the trends and being popular and all that weighs heavy on kids. So if you're a parent and you aren't paying close attention to that, and your kid is not maybe mature enough or ready enough to handle that yet, and a lot of kids aren't, that they shouldn't be exposed to it. The internet's a dangerous place, man. If you as a parent have a responsibility. I can handle it. I get a lot of heat on there, and I've been part of it. I've done the reality TV. I've done all that. I'm a grown ass man. I make my own choices, but a lot of young people. That's why, again, I'll tip my hat to you and say at 22 years old to have the platform you have and subject yourself and put yourself out there, because I'm sure you have critics, I'm sure.
So I lost a lot of friends the past year, man. I'll tell you that. Yeah. A lot of people, they mistake me looking for the truth as hate sometimes. That's very unfortunate.
And, not to get back into that, but I cannot stand that label, that instant label. You're a racist. You must be a racist. You must be come up with a real argument, Yeah. I know who I am. It doesn't even bother me. I don't even care now. They can say whatever. I know I'm not. You can think you want to think I am, then go ahead.
That's yeah, man. I saw you, Paulie D, quite a few people from the show are very successful and do have good goals going for you. So what's currently going on in your life? So you the podcast, is that your main focus right now?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I was a normal everyday working dude. I'm a union guy by trade. I grew up in the industry with my dad and me, and I still do it. That's my day job. That's my 9 to 5. But yeah, I do the podcast with Frankie. We do a weekly podcast. Sometimes we get 2 out a week, and I'd say that's kind of my love and my passion. And if we can parlay that into something great, it seems to be really trending well. It's doing well, and we never have a problem getting guest booked. And yeah, it's good. Frankie's also, he's getting a little older in his career. He's still fighting. He's still under contract, but he's looking to do something else too as he gets older. And that same holds true to me. So, podcasts, I always say podcasts are a dime a dozen. Everybody's got one, and they're pretty simple to get. It's longevity and staying power. And,
Right.
we're going on a year now, and consistency is key. Showing up every week, putting out good content, having good guests, and we're doing our best to do that. So
I guess real quick. So tell me a little bit about what made you start your podcast and your goals with it.
So it's funny, kind of a funny story. I told it on the air, but Frankie and I have been longtime friends. We've been friends for 15 years or better. Shortly after I moved to Jersey, we became friends. I actually trained with him for a little bit. Anyway, long story short, he called me one day, and he doesn't always articulate himself that great. He called me, and this is probably going back like 2 years ago. I passed him on the road, and he called me, and he said, hey man, have you ever thought, his exact words were something very similar to this. Hey man, have you ever thought about doing a podcast? So I never thought about doing a podcast. I didn't know he meant with him. So I just kind of looked at him, not looked at him, but kind of crossed my eyes and said, no, bro, I've never really given it a thought. And he just let it go at that. He's like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. I didn't know if he was talking about doing a podcast with him. It would have sparked some interest in me and been like, yeah, that's cool, man. But as far as crossing my mind as a solo guy like you're doing, it never really crossed my mind. So I just said no. And he kind of shelved it for like a year. And then one of his training partners, Chris, called me up. Chris, who was also fought in the UFC. Anyway, long story short, he hit me up and said, you and Frankie would make a great pair. And I was like, is that what he was talking about when he called me? He wanted to like duo up. So we built the podcast room in his basement, and we're on like episode 54 now. We've been going strong for the better part of a year now. So
Awesome. Yeah, man. I was listening to the one, the two of them about the election. I really like how you guys did it. You're not coming on like too strong, like yeah, Trump or F Trump. You're very there.
Well, we've had a lot of diversity on our couch. We've had a lot of people hardcore to the left, and we've had a lot of conservatives. And I think it's fair when you have a guest to always give them their platform. You're not being a fair sort of moderator or doing them due diligence if you don't let them speak their piece. So we always do that, and I don't really argue with them per se. I let them have their take, and I always take something away from it. But I'm a conservative guy. There's no question where my value system falls. I'm a patriot. I'm a conservative. So when Frankie and I are doing a podcast solo or just the two of us, I think we get a little more flexibility to air out our own views and our own, I guess, values and how we see the current electoral climate. And the last few podcasts, we've had an opportunity to do that. And clearly I've come out as being, a pretty staunch conservative. I don't think that surprised or shocked anybody. Frankie has been much more middle of the road than I've been, but he's definitely, this year has pushed him, I would say, you if you listen to it, you heard me say I got pushed as far to the right as I could go, this year because of what I saw from the left and how the left acted. And it pushed me so hard to the right. I was a registered independent my whole life. I voted ever since I was 18 years old. I'm 45 years old. I voted in a lot of elections and always been an independent. I always like to keep an open mind. As you may have heard, I had a liberal mother and I had a conservative father. So I feel like I got the best of both worlds growing up. And I always just registered as an independent. This year was the first year that I registered as a Republican because I wanted to vote in the primaries, and I was sick and tired of what I was seeing going on.
Me too. I think funny enough, that's kind of how we got in contact. I have a very small TikTok channel I'm working on building. I saw you liked it, a video or two. And I said you very straightforward. I said, hey, I'd be an idiot not to ask you to come on my podcast when, someone who is well known like you is liking my content. That's very my reason. Thank you for liking my content, man. I guess, the conservative stuff kind of comes up on your screen.
It does. That's how it showed up. You just happened to pop up on there, and I watched a couple, and I was like, I like what this guy has to say. You seem like a young guy. How old are you?
I am 22. I'm a senior.
Yeah, man. You're at 22, even though, like I said, I was voting. I did not have the vocabulary that you have. I didn't have the knowledge that you have. I wasn't as involved. So good for you, man, because that's what we need in today's day and age. We need young people out there getting
I was very
involved.
much pushing to it. I can't talk about it for legal reasons, but if you look at my name up, my real name, there's a whole legal shenanigans going on with me right now with them trying to silence me and just the absolute insanity. I can't talk about it for legal stuff, but I was kind of pushed into it because something really, really unfair to me is going on right now. And, you know, I had a choice between standing my grounds. Basically, I had a choice of integrity or conforming and just accepting something wrong happening. And I said, no, I'm choosing integrity because this is ridiculous.
That is precisely exactly. And I don't know what you said. I'm not going to sit here and, you know, put a stamp on it if I don't know what was said. But if it's just a conservative point of view and you're being silenced or shadow banned or whatever, that's precisely my point of what is pushing me. I mean, aren't we all supposed to be believers in free speech? I mean, isn't that the most integral and earned right that we all have? You know, and that's where I take umbrage. You know,
Yeah,
free
yeah.
speech is free speech.
I thought what I was doing was free speech. Like I said, I can't really discuss it much, but you know, it's going on. Eventually, the you know stuff will come forward. But anyway, you know, what do you say to people who are young teenage guys who see Jersey Shore, Dan Bilzerian, and they go, "Yeah, I want to be famous like them for that."
No, be careful what you wish for, man. Careful what you wish for. It looks good. It looks good on paper. It looks like, you know, just this sort of starstruck, popular money girls. Like it's I mean, for some people, maybe it can be, but it's dangerous, man. Be careful what you wish for. Not everybody is cut out to handle that. It comes with an incredible amount of scrutiny. Most people it happens to when they're young and they came into, you know, there's no secret. I'm not saying anything here that nobody knows. I mean, you know, Mike, the Situation, for example, he came into money really fast and he ended up going to rehab. He ended up going to prison. He had, you know, it's most people wouldn't know how to handle that fame and that notoriety and that amount of money that quickly when you don't come from it and it kind of happens overnight. So I would just say be careful what you wish for. It looks really appealing on TV and it looks like anybody can do it. It's like, what do I got to do? Show up and get drunk? And, you know, I'm not saying all reality TVs are like that, but the one I happen to have a background in was, and it's not that simple. You got to have a personality too. You got to be okay with getting a tremendous amount of criticism, you know. So if you're a sensitive soul at all, steer clear. Don't go that route.
A lot of times I think it ends up being like the classic forbidden fruit, you know, apple off the tree thing where it's, yeah, you can take a bite of it, especially, you know, I hate the emphasis, especially more for girls because they just, you know, show a little cleavage and hey, you know, or they're dancing to wet ass pussy wop on
yeah.
Yeah, you'll blow up because it's hot and it's entertaining, but it's not fulfilling. I think something fulfilling tends to be, you know, long term more fulfilling.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. Instant gratification is just that, instant gratification. You know, that's all it is. So
would you say it's worth it though? Like, let's say someone's goal is to get famous like me. I have this podcast. However, I'm still a lot of my content's publicity stunts. I do a lot of bullshit for publicity because I want to get a following. So what's your thought on, you know, whether it's through Jersey Shore, kind of type of, you know, stuff going on that, TikTok, you know, taking the opportunity to do a publicity stunt, you know, to build your brand. Is that worth it?
I think there's people that can do it and do it well, and there's people that can't do it. You know, there's internet sensations that last 5 minutes that don't think about the future. You know what I mean? That if you're doing it, it seems to be the route you're going, and you have a plan and you aspire to make money and you aspire to take fame or notoriety or fans base or whatever and parlay that into a future and make it longevity, and you can do it, which a lot of people can't. I tip my hat to you. God bless you. But if not, you're better off finding a career, whether it be a trade or whether it be going to college or whatever. That's a much safer bet because the percentage, I don't know what it is. I'm not even sure if it's a stat or not, but a percentage of those that want to be famous and make it, you know, not just 15 minutes. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that have made it, you know, 15 minutes of fame. Who's that one chick? Catch Me Outside chick or whatever, you know. There's a lot of those, you know what I mean? I'm talking about people that can turn it into something and make a future out of it and make it, you know, have longevity, you know, then I'm not hating on those people, you know, good for them. That's their own personal decision. If they want to show some cleavage or have an OnlyFans page or whatever. As a dad, would I ever want my daughter to do that? No, hell no. But if a grown adult, you know, that is willing to accept all the consequences and willing to do that, so be it, man. It's always going to exist. We're never going to control that. We're never going to say, you know, only good content can get put out. It's always going to exist because there's a marketplace for it, you know?
When I said the consequences, I think a lot of these people are too young to understand the consequences.
Sure, but that's what I mean. But that's what I fall back on saying. That's a parent's job to monitor your kids. You know what I mean?
That's true. You give the kids the value so they know, you know,
Right.
I should be making OnlyFans because.
Right.
All right, so I got 2 more questions for you, and I got a picture to show you actually.
Sure.
So do you regret Jersey Shore?
Do I what? Regret it?
Regret Jersey
No,
Shore?
not one iota. Not one iota. Are there certain aspects of it? Of course, man. Of course. You know, there was some pretty negative things that came out of it in my life, but I would not be the father to the 2 kids that I have today if I did not put that time in. And for me, that's worth it. I do it 100 times over. And listen, there was some bad in there too. It wasn't all good. There was some ugly moments and some things that happened. Clearly, it's no secret I'm divorced now, and I wish her well, and so be it. And life moves on, and we have to co-parent now for the rest of our lives, and that's what we're doing. And I'm happy, she's happy, and so I don't have any regrets. No.
I think that's an awesome answer. I think that regrets are kind of useless. I think that it's best to look at things as you learn from them, you gain something from it. I think that's a good answer.
You're not going to get a redo. You're not going to get a redo. So.
Right, and you want to be who you are without the experiences you had. So
exactly, the good and the bad made me who I am. You know.
That's facts. Okay, let me show you a picture real quick, and then I'm going to ask the final question. I'm going to do a screen. Right. Hopefully this works. You're on your phone, right?
Yep.
All right, let's see if this works. Okay. Can you see that?
I got to push it out for a bigger view. It is a picture of. I can see it's Dina.
Okay, so this is where it's gonna get. My real name is not Plutus, it's Jared Shafkoff, and the Shafkoffs, it's my dad in the middle, the man in the middle, have worked with Dancing with Jersey Shore before. My dad was the attorney for a show called Dancing on Air, which is around in the 80s, and they tried to bring it back recently. Didn't really work, but they tried to bring it back. The taller guy was the guy who created the show, and then the guy next to my dad, the other guy, is another attorney, I believe, for the show. And then she was partnering with the show Dancing on Air in some way. I forget exactly what it was, but she was some part of it when they were trying to bring it back. So he actually met her, took a picture with her. I don't really remember all the details, but I just found it interesting.
Yeah, no, Dina's good people. Dina and I really like her husband, Chris, too. Good people.
Sure, for sure. Okay, so one more question for you. It's going to be a nice little hard question.
Yeah, hit me.
What should a man value?
What should a man value? What should a man value? My girl's laughing. What should a man value? I think your moral fabric is going to tell the tale of your life. You know, no matter how rich or famous you make it, or how poor you are in your life, whether you live under a bridge or whether you die on a $1 billion yacht. When you die naked and alone, and with the character, you know, and the morality that you lived with. So I would say your character merit and how you lived your life be the most integral part of a man.
I agree. I think character means so much. You know, guys that will conform in character and have no moral guide end up, you know, failing. So I think that's a great answer.
I know people that live in trailers that have tremendous amount of moral fabric, and I know people that are billionaires that have none. You know what I mean? So it has nothing to do with social status or social standing. It has to do with what's in your heart. You know.
That's true. I actually lived in a trailer over the summer, previous summer with this guy, older guy, you know, stoner, great guy. So one of the most genuine, real guys ever. Lived in the trailer, but he was awesome.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Now, what's the story behind there? How'd you?
Yeah. So I'm from Philly, near Philly area, so I'm not that far from you. You're Jersey, obviously Jersey Shore. So I live near Northeast Philly. It's called Huntington Valley, and essentially, I came over the summer like I always did. I'm a little older now, and I was going to bars. My parents were like, you can't come home at 2 a.m. The dogs bark, and wake us up. We have work early. You got to come by midnight. And I was like, no, I can't do that. So I found, my choices really where I was at was for my price range was Philly, or some shitty place in a nice surrounding neighborhood. I found an area near Neshaminy that was a trailer park, and it had the benefit of being almost near the suburbs, but it was a trailer park, so it was very safe, and it was cheaper than Philly and safer than Philly. So I was like, well, this guy seems cool. He's like just an old stoner, former mechanic. There's no risk here. I might as well choose this, and that's where I lived for the summer.
I like that story, man. That's a good story.
Yeah, for sure.
Rags to riches stories are always the best stories, man.
It is, man. Like right now, I'm grinding. I'm actually, ironically, I ended up moving to Philly because of my court stuff. So I live in Philly now. I live near Temple. And I got very cheap rent, and it is what it is for the time being until I can build something for myself.
Good for you, man. Good for you. I grew up with very, very humble beginnings myself. I grew up in Maine, tiny little town in Maine, a population of like 800 people in my town. My dad's very, very blue collar type of guy. My mom works, like a part-time job and picked us up at school every day, and grew up in a humble little home. And I think you value things more, and I think it makes you appreciate things more. So I have nothing but respect for that, man. I've lived in a big house too, and that's not what formed your value system.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you want to end on any advice for young men, women out there who have goals they want to achieve?
Depends on what those goals are. If those goals are money, it's certainly, I guess that's why I'm to the right. If you believe in capitalism, you live in the greatest country in the world to go chase those dreams. You know what I mean? So if that's what you want is money, and to be financially stable, there's nothing wrong with that. Go get it. But the fame thing, I'd say be wary. If that was kind of your question to me before, for young people, if you want fame, it looks good because they make it look so good. They make it look, like you don't have a bad day. But a lot of the bad things, they hit the cutting room floor. You don't see it. The breakdowns, the attack, people attacking you. They call them haters. When I was a kid, you used to call it being jealous. But now they call them haters, and there's a lot of them out there, and they're going to hate on you because what's that?
There always will be.
Always will be, man. There always will be. So just be careful what you would wish for. Fame is not all it's cracked up to be. Money's a different thing. It depends on your value system for money. You know what I mean? If you just want to be rich, you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons. If you want wealth, like hand-me-down wealth to your children and stuff, that's a different story. If you want to put your kids in a nice college, and then you're probably doing it for the right reason.
For sure. Where can people find your podcast and when?
So our podcast, we record every Tuesday, usually comes out we record usually a week in advance. So it usually comes out Monday or Tuesday, and it's comes out weekly, and you can find us on any podcast format. And we also have an in-studio look. We have a YouTube channel as well, so you can watch us on there. It's called Champ and the Tramp. It's me and Frankie Edgar, and we'll be recording tomorrow and putting a new one out. So
Cool. If you guys are watching on YouTube, I will link his podcast below. Also, please like and subscribe here. I will also be linking my own Instagram as well as I'll link yours too, because why not? Thank you so much for coming on, Roger. I really appreciate it.
Much respect, man. Chin up. Keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Thank you so much, man. Have a good night.
Take care.